This is the cylinder block for the EV6010 Honda motor. It's pretty straightforward and simple. It's a water-cooled inline two-cylinder motor. Crankshaft runs through here. There's a balancer shaft. It's carried on two bearings. Runs right through here. Incidentally, if you're ever rebuilding one of these and you get done and you wonder where this piece of black rubber goes, it goes right in there. I had a shop call me up recently that did one of these rebuilds, and after he was done, he wanted to know where that piece went. That was just for you, Tim. Okay, first step for rebuilding the block is going to be to make sure the cylinder head surface is straight. And again, do that. Check for rocking. The neat thing about the marble slab is you'll hear a clunk if it's not truly squared. Now this surface here is where the back or the bottom part of the case is bolt. There is no center web. And no sound of clunking, rocking back and forth whatsoever. Next step, going to be measure the piston to cylinder wall clearance. See if these pistons are acceptable to reuse. Piston to cylinder wall clearance on this motor, factory specification, is 3 to 5 1/100ths of a millimeter. The maximum service limit is 1/10 of a millimeter. So obviously, for our purposes, if piston to cylinder wall clearance exceeds 5/100ths of a millimeter, we're going to have to rebore, because this gentleman is not looking for a motor that is merely within the maximum service limit. He wants it to be 2 spec. So our piston is 57.9 57.978 millimeter. So the next thing we do is zero the dial bore gauge or taper gauge, whichever name you want to call it by. To the size of the piston. And this dial should show 0 when I've got it set right to the piston size. And there it is. So now, when I measure the cylinder, what shows on the gauge will be the clearance from the piston to cylinder wall. Showing 5/100ths. Still at 5, 6, 7, 6. It is not unusual for the cylinder to wear in an S pattern. Then we go side to side. We're going to get 5, 6, That is unusual for them to wear side to side like that. About 5.5. On the next cylinder, 7. Down to 5.5. Back up to 7. Again, an S pattern, which is very common for front to back. I got 5.5, 6.5, and 6. Because the cylinder clearance on this engine is 7 at certain places, we're going to have to rebore this engine because the service limit is at 0.10 of a millimeter and the specification is 3 to 5. So we need to bring it back to the original specification. So the cylinder's going to have to be punched out. 0.25 of a millimeter is the next oversized bore. You can go ahead and stop the film.